called this conference together of business, workers, and also a bipartisan conference as well. We have a Republican here who, a diehard Republican who is opposing this bill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off, I'm going to introduce Elizabeth Lessner, who is the owner of Dirty Frank's Hot Dog Palace and some of the other restaurants around the city. We thank her for hosting us today. This is very kind of her, and I will turn it over to her. So this is Elizabeth Lessner.
Good morning, and thanks for coming. I won't say who I recognize here or what you guys drink. I appreciate everyone being here. I am the owner and operator of Betty's Family of Restaurants. It's a restaurant group of 5 restaurants here in downtown Columbus. I'm also the co-owner of Eartha Limited, which is a recycling company. It hauls restaurant waste, compost, and recyclables. We're waiting on some permits from SWACO, but in the next 3 to 5 years, we will be creating 300 to 500 jobs here in Central Ohio. Our facility is located in downtown Columbus, or just south of downtown on the Whittier Peninsula. These are manufacturing jobs that are very much needed in Central Ohio. My restaurant group, Betty's Family of Restaurants, operates 5 restaurants, and we've created 150 good entry to mid-level jobs that include insurance benefits. We're opening a 6th restaurant this summer, and we will be looking to add about 50 more jobs. The restaurant industry is important to downtown. In fact, it's the largest private sector employer in the state. The restaurant industry in Ohio is also the largest employer of women and minorities in management positions. It's one of the few growing businesses in this depressed economy. Our restaurants in particular provide jobs to single parents with our flexible hours. It really makes it convenient for single parents. We also provide jobs to part-time workers, people looking for second jobs who are trying to get through this economy right now and might need more work. We're also an ideal job for students. Central Ohio has a lot of students who need to work to help put themselves through school. We're also a large employer to people without cars. In Central Ohio, one of the biggest barriers to employment is lack of a car. Because our restaurants are located in downtown Columbus, people are able to easily get to us, which is great. It's no secret that we opened our most recent restaurant, the Jury Room, directly across the street from the Franklin County Courthouse. And as soon as they get that cell phone situation figured out, we're looking very forward to taking care of all the employees that work there. It's also no secret that Dirty Frank's, where we're sitting right now, is a popular hangout. We serve hot dogs late to our police force, our firefighters, and we're very proud to serve our public employees. We really want to make it clear and known that these jobs downtown, they're vital to the revitalization of downtown. They're important. We will be proudly displaying these stickers. I've got the prototype here that say public employees are served here. This establishment proudly accepts business from hardworking public employees. Thanks.
Thanks, Liz. And next up, we will have Leo Geiger. He is a state worker, a city worker, sorry. And Leo is also a Reagan Republican. But he is out here today to say that he opposes this bill because it's bad for working families, it's bad for local businesses, and it's not going to do anything to create jobs. So, Leo.
Can you spell your name for us?
Certainly. My name is Leo Geiger. Last name G-E-I-G-E-R. First name L-E-O. My parents gave me that one because it's easy to spell. Morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. As previously mentioned, I am a Republican. I was raised in a Republican household. My father's a Republican. Ever since 1994, I voted Republican in almost every election. And I do oppose this bill. I oppose this bill for a number of reasons. But primarily, I think that this is extremely bad for the state of Ohio. It does nothing to help our budget woes. It does nothing to add to transparency. It doesn't do anything good. It represents everything that is wrong with politics today because it is political payback against those who did not support the people that are currently in power. And it is time in this country and in this state that both parties start coming together and hammering out bills that solve real problems and not made up ones. Thank you.
Next up, we'll have KJ Watts. He is a firefighter from Lancaster Fire Department, and he will speak to you know, his job, the vital services that he provides to the community, and also why this bill is not good only for him, but also for the community that he serves. So, KJ.
My name is KJ Watts, W-A-T-T-S. My parents' name is KJ because it's a little bit easier than Leo to spell. I am a City of Lancaster firefighter, paramedic, veteran of 12 years of the fire service. Proud father of 6 children, and so I'm the only income earner in the house. Therefore, my wife has to stay home and take care of my children all the time. This bill is very important to me to watch as it goes through. I think it is the worst thing I've seen in my short time of paying attention to what goes on in politics. I began my career pretty young. I was about 21 years old, and I came into the public sector, the safety forces part of the public sector, thinking I was going to have a secure job for the rest of my life. Followed in my father's footsteps. He was a firefighter for over 30 years, and I saw him having a secure job throughout his career and provide well for me, enable me to go to college. And I want to do the same for my children. I fear if this bill is enacted, it will do just the opposite of that. In the City of Lancaster, I've had the luxury of being able to be a chief negotiator for our union contracts down there. The past 6 years, we've negotiated every year, where a lot of times unions will do 3-year contracts. We've been able to negotiate every year because of the slips and slides in the economy. I'm proud to say that it was through collective bargaining, the way the current law is, that we were able to save the City of Lancaster over $1 million just from our fire department contracts. That saved jobs all over the city, kept firefighters working on the engines and the medic units that go and save lives and put out fires. I think without collective bargaining the way it is, if we change it at all, that wouldn't have happened. We would have lost the service. Therefore, I think it has a direct impact on the safety of the citizens in every community. So with that being said, I'm sure there's a lot more I can say about it, but there's a lot more other people that want to discuss this. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, KJ. Next up, I'm going to introduce Charles Berry. He is a counselor with the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services. So, Charles.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charles Berry. I'm with the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. I've been with the agency for about 16 years, and my job as an employment specialist is just to assist those in need who have been adversely affected, whether it be to losing their job due to no fault of their own, due to mass layoffs, or downsizing, or attrition. And whatever we can do to assist them in their endeavors as they go forward. A lot of times it's not easy to deal with the stress of losing your job and your livelihood. So we're there to assist ones, whether it's assisting them with their job search, helping them with their resumes, being able to assist them with some computer courses. A lot of the people that we help have never been out of work. They went straight from high school, maybe to a factory job. A lot of the workers from GM, only had one job. So they were kind of at a loss when they lost their jobs or when the plant closed. And they were able to come to us, and whether it was to assist them in finding schools of their choices, to find another trade, or to find another job in the area that they were in. We were quite successful in helping ones find schools that would fit their needs, as well as finding other jobs. So again, anything we can do to assist them, even when it comes to filing for their unemployment benefits. It's not easy to start from scratch and basically go to this system that is basically put in place to help those in need. But we try to encourage them again. It's not your fault. Unemployment is never a choice that people choose to be in, but it's a position that all of us can find ourselves in at the drop of a dime. So with that being said, we encourage ones to come to the Central Ohio Workforce Investment Corporation to get any assistance, any neighbors, friends, family members that you have. And personally, when it comes to assisting ones in need, we try to take it on as I'm helping my mother and my father, an aunt, uncle, a cousin, a sibling, and try to treat them the same way I would want my family members to be treated. That's what we do in public service. It's an important work, and we hope that it will not be adversely affected because the people in town, need our services. And this is not work related, but it's ironic yesterday as I was at the gas station. I had my work ID on and I was cold out. So I'm pumping gas trying to hurry up, and a customer comes up and he sees my state ID badge and he says, "You work for the state of Ohio?" And, you know, I kind of say yes and nod my head, and I'm holding my breath wondering what he may say. And he tells me a story about 6 months ago. He was walking from home to a corner store, and he was jumped. And he said right before he lost consciousness, he dialed 911. The paramedics came to get him in like 5 minutes, administered him service, basically saved his life. He was told that if a couple minutes more went by, he probably wouldn't have made it. And he stated that you public servants, you know, do make a difference in the city of Columbus, and I just want you all to know that. So again, you know, we cross many different sections of the community, and all we do is we try to assist, and we just want to continue to be able to provide the service that we need to. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Now I'm going to bring up Jean Feitmaster. She was a former investigator with the Workers Bureau of Compensation, and also worked for the
Franklin County Human Services.
Franklin County Human Services as an investigator as well. She is currently a retiree, and is going to talk about what it was like before collective bargaining, and then also how this is going to affect retirees in the community as well. Thank you. Jean?
Hello, good morning. My name is Jean Feitmaster, F-I-G-H-T-M-A-S-T-E-R. I retired from state service in '06, and I had been continuously a public employee from 1978. When I went to work for Franklin County Human Services, and I was there for 10 years. I was there before we had collective bargaining and after, and I became involved with the union probably 1979 when we had 6 women who were working out of their classification, a high classification, on the promise that when the agency got permission to have a higher classification, they would get it. When that came through, not one of those women got those positions. They all went to white males. I became involved with the union because of that. And as we fought for collective bargaining and went out there and talked to people, the discrimination that had gone on prior to collective bargaining, prior to a process where they could file an appeal and say I was not treated right, was huge. I don't want to bore you with lots of stories, but I have stories of women who worked as a meat inspector, who the men did not want as a meat inspector, who was assigned to the poultry killing plant in Ohio, where every other meat inspector was rotated, but she, as a woman, was there for months and months and months, and spent every day in fishermen's waders, because for 8 hours a day, she was thigh deep in chicken innards. And I said to her, "How did you stand that?" And she said, "I have children I have to take care of." This was a better paying job that I could get. We don't want to go back to the dark days of when people were so mistreated. We don't want the state of Ohio employees to look like Governor Kasich's cabinet, all white and all male, with no rights for those that are working for the state and doing a dignified and good job for the state taxpayers. I am a retiree. My husband and I are both retired. We live here in Central Ohio. We spend our money here in Central Ohio. If this bill goes through, we feel there's a real danger, and I personally, who worked very hard to bring collective bargaining, feel like it's going back to the dark ages. We're not going back to the 20th century, we're going back to the 19th century. These are the stories that Charles Dickens wrote about, those kind of employers. If you allow this to happen, what comes next? And how much confidence are we going to have in the pension plans that we public employees paid into, and were part of the conditions of employment, and are invested very heavily here in the state of Ohio. Thank you, and if anybody was told me, I can give you those stories. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kate. And finally, we're going to wrap up with Mark Hill. He is currently the president of his union local, but he's been a teacher for 22 years, 16 of those years in the Worthington School District. So, Mark?
Thank you. I want to thank you all for coming out to a bar for a press conference. I don't believe I've ever seen a venue like this before. My name is Mark Hill. I'm a teacher in Worthington. I'm a 7th and 8th grade math teacher. Governor Kasich and the legislature were elected with a mandate: bring jobs to Ohio. Senate Bill 5 it's a distraction from that mission. Make no mistake, this bill does not bring one job to Ohio.
That's right.
Not one. This bill is not about jobs. In fact, it'll hurt communities throughout the state by hurting the public employees who serve them. The teachers, the cops, the people who counsel folks. That's who we're talking about here. I've been a teacher for 22 years, and I'm a father of 3 kids, and I know that attracting and retaining teachers, good teachers, is the most important thing for my kids' education. And this bill will make it difficult to attract and retain good teachers for the classroom. Collective bargaining, a lot of people don't know what it is. What it does is it provides a framework for teachers and principals to focus on the mission of educating kids and settling their differences around the bargaining table. And it allows teachers who are not part of the bargaining process to concentrate on the education of their students and not to have to worry about it. And it gives them a voice in having the best conditions for their kids in the classroom. Public employees didn't start or cause Ohio's budget crisis. Politicians did. Don't balance the budget on the backs of public employees. Thanks for coming and listening.
All right, guys, so we'll open it up to questions. If there's any questions that anyone wants to address specifically to a worker, we can do that now.
Could KJ speak to how the money was saved, the $1 million in Lancaster, through the collective bargaining process?
Absolutely. KJ Watts again, firefighter, City of Lancaster. We had a 3-year contract in place that we negotiated back in 2007 that took us through 2010. And it gave us successive raises every year based on how the economy looked back in 2007. When the City of Lancaster realized that our income was going down because of the income tax and so forth, there was a real problem. So we could have honestly just sat back and just let it go and collected our 3% raise. But through the efforts of collective bargaining and sitting down at the table and realizing that we as public workers, public safety workers, we're not immune to the budget problems that were going on through the down economy. We came to the table with the city. There was no real fear of finding arbitration, really, because we had a contract. Neither side was scared. It was a collaborative effort that we sat down and were able to freeze our wages, in the end give back all of our wages that we had set for that 3-year contract. Reduce some of the clauses that allowed some overtime compensation and so forth that all in all decreased the budget by $1 million. In 2006, the City of Lancaster's fire department budget was $9.3 million. The 2011 budget in the City of Lancaster for the fire department is $8.2 million. So that's, to me, a $1 million savings.
Did the city come to you, or did you go to them?
Both. But we knew it was coming, and we knew we had to do something. There was threats of layoffs. I don't remember the last time there was not a threat of layoffs in the City of Lancaster, but we knew that it was real. We just had to get down to figure out how much money needed to come in to be saved. And if anybody knows city budgets, near the end of the year when they develop the budget for the following year, every day it seems like the budget numbers change on how much they need to balance the next year's budget through projections and whatever it may be. And by the time the January 1st deadline rolled around, we had an agreement both times.
When are you going to enter contract negotiations again?
Right now we have an expired contract right now, so we don't have a raise going on. We're not necessarily knowing what we're going to do. We've had a ton of talks and communications. Because of the way the law is set, we have a fact finder scheduled to have somebody come in to help us figure out what we're going to do.
So the freeze is continuing?
I'm sorry?
The freeze then is continuing?
Oh, yes, we haven't had a raise in 3 years.
There are studies that seem to show public employees, government workers, if you look at their total package, financial benefits and so forth, that they get more than private workers, and then there's others that show the other. Can somebody comment on at least the perception among some legislators that government workers are overcompensated? Comment on that?
I mean, there was just recently a study from Rutgers where they looked at the hours and the total compensation, not just salary, and they found in Ohio that public employees are paid about 3% less than their similarly educated peers in the private sector. And that's one thing that people have to understand. You can't compare apples to oranges. The private sector, about 40 to 50% of the employees have college degrees, where in the general public there's 25. Public sector people are lawyers, counselors, people that require degrees and training in order to provide the services the public expects in their government.
Can I just jump in?
Yeah.
I want to just say that one of the most effective governors in utilizing collective bargaining for the benefit of the state of Ohio was Governor Voinovich. And Governor Voinovich came to the union and used the strength and numbers of the union to implement quality services for state government. He asked us to do it as a partnership. He brought in the principals from the private sector, literally took our president to several private sector and said, look, these people are developing quality services for their customers. The state, the taxpayers of the state of Ohio are customers. And he used the resources of the units to develop quality services. I worked at the Bureau of Workers' Comp. We were encouraged to, on the level where the rubber hits the road, to have teams to work together to better deliver effective, cost-effective services to the public. ODOT was a leader in that. Corrections was a leader in that. And that environment, that using the resources of the union to develop and constantly evaluate the services given to the public was the most effective use I have ever seen of a partnership. He was a man with a vision. He worked with us. He helped us develop not just quality and services, but joint health care committee, which saved the state millions of dollars by having buy-ins from all of the unions to develop a more effective way of delivering health care to state employees and their families. So if you want to look at what to do with collective bargaining and how it benefits both sides and how it benefits the customer, which is the taxpayer of the state of Ohio, that's where you need to look. That's where you get the bang for the buck.
I'd like to speak on that for a minute too. Not too long ago, our current governor, when asked why he felt that he needed to pay his cabinet the high pay that he was paying them, stated that in order to draw people from the public sector, from the private sector rather, to the public sector, that we had to pay them the wages that they needed in order to get the best quality people. I agree with that. I think that people such as myself that slave every day and work as hard as we can for our communities and serve our communities should be paid well, because we are dedicated employees. And I mean, people keep talking bad about how much we're paid. They're not talking about the work that we do. I'm a sewer worker. Most people in this room probably would not want to do that job. But I do it every day, and I proudly serve my community doing that. Thank you.
Were there any other questions for any of the workers that we have up here?